Thanks, Michael. Let's take you overseas, and an explosive new investigation into the BBC has concluded the broadcaster covered up the deceptive practices of its reporter Martin Bashir, who persuaded Princess Diana to give a tell-all interview in 1995. The inquiry found the journalist ordered the production of fake bank statements as part of a ploy to obtain the interview, and that he subsequently lied about having done so. Europe correspondent Martin Bashir has this story.
It was the bombshell interview which rocked the royal family and revealed Prince Charles had spent years cheating on his wife.
Your Royal Highness, how prepared were you for the pressures that came with marrying into the royal family?
At the age of 19, you always think you're prepared for everything, and you think you have the knowledge of what's coming ahead. But although I was daunted at the prospect at the time, I felt I had the support of my husband-to-be.
Do you think Mrs. Parker Bowles was a factor in the breakdown of your marriage?
Well, there were 3 of us in this marriage, so it was a bit crowded.
The interview was obtained by a relatively junior BBC reporter, Martin Bashir. But after the interview, a BBC graphic designer tried to blow the whistle, alleging Mr. Bashir asked him to mock up false bank statements which had been used to gain her trust. Now, 26 years later, a formal investigation into the affair has found that these documents, which purported to show royal family staff were accepting bribes to leak to the media, were indeed faked, and described Mr. Bashir's explanations as unreliable and dishonest.
It clearly shows that Martin Bashir was dishonest, and it clearly shows that the BBC subsequent investigation was incompetent. The fact is, people passed up what was going on to senior management, and senior management, as Lord Dyson shows very clearly, operated a smear campaign against them and then covered it all up.
Lord Dyson, the former senior judge who ran the inquiry, did indeed conclude the BBC had attempted to hide not only the misconduct of Martin Bashir, but also its own internal investigations into the interview, which were deeply flawed. His report found that without justification, the BBC fell short of its standards of integrity and transparency, which are its hallmarks. Both the BBC and Mr. Bashir have released statements apologising for the affair.
Martin Bashir and Prince Harry and Prince William have both responded this morning. Prince Harry says this is the first step towards justice, but he says worse practices are still continuing. Prince William has also made a statement and, gee, he hasn't held back.
It is my view that the deceitful way the interview was obtained substantially influenced what my mother said. The interview was a major contribution to making my parents' relationship worse and has since hurt countless others. It brings indescribable sadness to know that the BBC's failures contributed significantly to her fear, paranoia and isolation that I remember from those final years with her. But what saddens me most is that if the BBC had properly investigated the complaints and concerns first raised in 1995, my mother would have known that she had been deceived. She was failed not just by a rogue reporter, but by leaders at the BBC who looked the other way rather than asking the tough questions. It is my firm view that this Panorama programme holds no legitimacy and should never be aired again. It effectively established a false narrative which for over a quarter of a century has been commercialised by the BBC and others. This settled narrative now needs to be addressed by the BBC and anyone else who has written or intends to write about these events.
Wow.
Yeah, that is a very strong statement from Prince William there, and that is not going away. Like, no. The BBC has a very big problem on its hands with that.